All right, a lot of old memories here.
All my yesterdays, somewhere out in the country. All my yesterdays, somewhere out in the country. But these old future days don't really seem to want me. I'm a true Delta boy, born in the Mississippi Delta. Yes, I'm a country boy, born in the Mississippi Delta. We had a one-nation radio, had to listen to some country western. I did that wrong.
How does a man in the 70s continue to earn a living through this music, which is very hard for anybody to earn a living through?
In Vancouver, that was the first time I saw him play, and I was like, what a great musician. He's such a good guitar player. He's got his own style, he's got his own thing going on, he was amazing. The fact that he's still doing it, you know, he's still making his living doing it is incredible.
We've got to know the man, not just the musician.
I have learned so much, not only about James, but about Mississippi. I'd never been to Mississippi before. I've learned so much about Clarksdale and the Delta.
But there's so much more to his story. He's also a real artist, and he's not just a musician. He's so many other things.
Well, now where I live in Mississippi is near 3 state lines. Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas. I put them all 3 together and I call it Sippy Seeking Salt. I was born in Mississippi, moved to Tennessee, spent a lot of time in Arkansas. Where am I from, y'all? I'm from Sippy Seeking Salt.
As a white kid growing up in the suburbs of Dayton, Ohio, I to this day don't know exactly what first got me interested in blues, except that it just, you felt something when you heard it. Big George Brock, the guy that I've since worked with for his passing, you know, he used to talk about, you know, blues being truth. You know, even if it's a fictitious song you may have written, but it's truth. You're expressing something that just people feel deep down. You know, I would say that because of the nature of where actual blues music came, not just the genre that people, you know, file records under or trot out, I'm going to play a blues song now, but the actual culturally connected music, which is the voice of a culture, the voice of a people. I think because of its difficult beginnings out on the cotton plantations in the Delta, people working cant to cant, dark to dark in the cotton fields, I think it's just got that feeling from that. I think it's just a really honest music. It's a very human music, particularly when you work with more of the traditional blues artists who came through those eras, which are much more modern than most people think in terms of those really trying times. Guys like James Super Chikan Johnson, Terry Harmonica Bean, or some of the folks who are gone now, like T. Model Ford, Bilbo Walker. You know, what they were putting forth wasn't just entertainment. You know, it was sort of something that came from their deeper in their heart and soul.
And since I'm one of the last of the originals, I'm here trying to keep the blues alive. But it's about to kill me.
Well, it's energetic, it's positive, it's funny, it's the words, you know, the lyrics are great. But his presentation, you know, of music is just infectious. He easily is the favorite musician here of all of them. He tell stories, and then he and Lala, who is his keyboard lady, have a really kind of a good thing they do, you know, like they're fighting on stage. You know, she plays like this, and they have wars, all things, and they manufacture little dramas on stage. I think people just enjoy his shows. I mean, he puts on a show. Well, you've seen him. He can hold his own with anybody. And he's creative. You know, he just has that spark. And he's likes people. And people feel that from him, that they know that his shows are gonna be funny and good and clean and all those things. And a good time. It's a good time.
Since I was a kid, I played the diddly bow. And there was always acoustic guitars around the house because the women folks played and my uncles played, but we little kids weren't allowed to mess with them. And so I was always playing my diddly bow. And whenever people came around that did play, and I wasn't allowed to hang around the older people, but I would crawl under the porch or sneak around inside the house or somewhere and listen to them, and it was fascinating.
A few people out there don't know what this is, but this is a diddly bow. A diddly bow was one of the Delta's first blues instruments, derived from an African instrument called the choral. But it's done come a long way. Now, back in the 50s, late 50s, when I started playing the diddly bow, this would have been very illegal. So I'll make a long story short, we're going to go ahead and play a little bit for you. How about that? But we were sharecroppers growing up. We had to pick that cotton. We had to pick so much cotton we couldn't even go to school. Asked my papa one day, can I go to school? He said, well, you already know how to pick cotton. What you going to school for?
Probably the reason I don't play as well as I should, because I play a right-hand guitar, but I'm left-handed. So I had to create my own style, my own way of playing. And it sounds good to me and feels good to me when I play, because I can't play a left-hand guitar, but I can play a right-handed guitar, but I am left-handed. So I construed it to be one of the most unfortunate musicians you ever seen. Didn't get a chance to go to school to learn no music. Didn't know nothing about music, but I loved the music. I had it all in my bones. I wanted to play it, and I had to play a right-handed guitar, so that's what I learned to play on, with a right-handed guitar.
And in order to pick the right amount of cotton, you had to work to a rhythm, and our best rhythm was the old choo-choo train. We could hear it coming way down the track, you know. I'm gonna say, y'all hear that horn? So that's the saxophone. So when you get a little closer, y'all gonna hear the drum, and that's gonna be your work rhythm.
Been working at Ground Zero for 15 years, so I actually met his keyboard player Lala Craig first, and then I over the years I've gotten to know Super Chikan. So I'll say 15 years. I've gotten to know him very well not only from him performing, but especially special events that we do. The pandemic, me and him used to talk all the time. He's part of the Ground Zero brand, part of the Ground Zero team. We have his podium, right there in front of our door. It used to actually be in the cement, like most of them, but Super Chikan did not want people walking on his face. So we had to build him a podium right there so that way everybody can see it. And it's easier to take pictures with it too.
Once you get into that groove, he's just bobbing, doing his thing. He's no limits to what he does, man. It's awesome.
I kneel down and I pray.
Well, he's one of the best showsmen I've ever seen. He knows how to put on a good show. And the way, I don't know, his spirit works on stage is just mesmerizing. And there's so much to learn from him, like actually connecting with the crowd, but also continuing to stay true to how you're feeling on stage and feeling the music. And those are really, really like two hard things to do together. And he's perfected it, I guess, over the years. And I admire that a lot about him.
I reminisce back to the old days when there was entertainers, real entertainers on stage, like Chubby Checker, Chuck Berry. People back then was entertaining. And during the few years I was coming about, I like seeing just stand-up musicians who just stand there and play and act like they was the most important thing in the world playing, but they wasn't entertaining the people. They were playing familiar songs for them, but they wasn't entertaining them. So I come up with my Super Chikan act. I do the chicken scratch, I dance, I crack joke, I ask questions, I intervene with the crowd, and entertain them, get them to laugh and get them to liking what you're doing, and floor just stay full all the time.
I was running from a cow down in Mississippi. I had on a red shirt. Cows don't like red. And there was a barbed wire fence and it was a little high. I went to jump that fence and got hung on it. And I learned how to yodel that day.
Super Chikan, he has a totally different sound. Of course, we are all about Delta blues here. He is a Delta blues musician, but he gives more of a Chicago type of blues feel. His stage presence is phenomenal. I'm huge on stage presence. So when he stands on that stage, he's commanding your attention. Not only that, but the stories that he tells in between, the jokes that he tells in between, it's all in his stage presence.
I used to try to yodel like them white folks. My mama said, baby, you gotta stop hollering like that. She said, them folks might think you a coyote. I said, Mama, I can yodel like Roy A. Cup, Gene Autry, and all them country whistle singers. I decided that yodel from my mama anyhow. Did not yodel. She said, just a knackerhead lie, he did too. I said, well, Mama, how did John Lee Hooker yodel? Haw, 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 haw. Haw, 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 haw. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom.
James Would you say that your grandfather was your first musical influence? Would you say?
Yeah, him and my uncle, Big Jack Johnson, and the other musicians, you know, because my grandpa didn't play the guitar much no more. He played the fiddle. But I would copy after the other musicians and my uncles by playing on the diddley bow. And finally, I got a chance to play the box guitar. And my mom was playing it one day, and she was she could play a couple of good numbers on that. And she showed me how to do that. And then I went from there. She called it a honky tonk. And she was playing the boom, 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 and pretty much still my style.
It's a traditional blues style. It was one of the first styles of blues, and he's trying to keep it alive, and that I love. It's more like a Chuck Berry, rockabilly, hill country type blues.
Chicken got a very original style of music. If I have to call it a style, I'll say Chicken play what you call a country rockabilly. But they call it blues, because people say if it ain't gospel, it's blues. But Chicken got a flavor different from everybody else in the blues. I mix up names. It's more of a huckabuck type of blues.
Yeah, his style is pretty unique, and it's really fun to watch him while I'm playing. It's just like an audience. Really like playing behind him because I could feel very special feeling. Also, I like to support in a way that I can do by playing bass.
Y'all know we've been having a lot of bad weather. Tornadoes, lightning storm, rainstorm. I'm gonna ride with him, man. And when it's rain, it's rain.
He got his own style, his own unique style. And, you know, and he's never changed it. You know, it's just his style.
Chicken music kind of give me a mind of Tony Joe White and some of the guys I'd heard out of Louisiana. It's a country blues rock, a rockabilly blues rock. It ain't blues. It's his original sound. And I have never heard anybody play that style but him. And he was playing that way when I met him.
I think there's a country blues quality to him a little bit. I think so. In the sense that because he seems to be fond of those storytelling guys, and he's such a natural storyteller himself.
First time I heard Super Chikan was on a radio show, and I was with Grady Champion. We were going to play the Kerrville Folk Festival in Kerrville, Texas. And we flew in and we got a rental car and turned on the radio. And here's this guy. And he was so funny. And his music came on, it was funky. You know, it's got a funky chicken thing going on. You know, it's Mississippi and it's unique. And he's a unique artist. And I fell in love with him right then. I just thought this guy's great.
I wanted to sing stuff that was more true, that made more sense. And being from the country, all I know to sing about is the country stuff. I hear a lot of songs that, you know, you're like, that's not true, you know, but some songs don't make sense. And I wanted mine to make sense and tell a story at the same time.
Well, he started out listening to Gene Autry and different peoples in the country. That's why I say he come up with a style of his own. And everybody tried to curve it, But he stayed true to it because I'm like this, you're only going to make it off your own originality. No, you can play BB and you can play Albert, Little Milton, Buddy Guy, Albert Collins, but when it's all said and done, you got 100 of them playing like that. But you only got one chicken. You only got one chicken. And I done been a lot of places and I done heard a lot of people. And I can identify everybody from their signature licks because I played them all. Everybody got their own signature licks. And when I hear a certain lick, I know who it is. Whether they done changed their tone, changed their flavor, changed their groove. That signature is still there. Mm-hmm.
You know, we got guitar slingers. Everybody's trying to do a little something different or play a little better than the other one. And I see them hung up on that. I said, fine and dandy. He's got a fancy way of playing, fancy guitar, and there's a lot of people into the chords and the licks they hit and who they sound like. Oh yeah, he sound like B.B. King. Oh, he sound like this guy. He sound like that. I said, well, I come out here to entertain, and I sound like Super Chikan. I might play somebody else's number, but I'll play his music the way it fits me. Play it my way.
He's about the best I've ever seen in my life at being able to free associate lyrical ideas on the stage.
A little rabbit hole came home smelling like this. Oh, lady asked me, what kind of rabbit is this?
He knows that that's a big psychic one for me because I want to be able to do that, and I have to write it down and sing it, you know, as written. I might be able to twist one little thing or, you know, parody something on the fly, but he can just sit there. Someone will walk in and he'll be writing them into the song that he's performing, and it just blows my mind. I want that skill, something fierce.
Like I got on stage one night and I wanted to do a new song so bad, and I couldn't come up with one. So I started singing. You should have heard that song I tried to write last night. Every time I pick up my pencil, I just couldn't get it right. But you should have heard that song that I tried to write last night, you know. There it is, you know. It was a good song. You should have heard that song that I tried to write last night. Every time I picked up my pencil, it just wouldn't go right. But you should have heard that song that I tried to write last night. Sometimes it just don't come out. So you gotta, whatever happens, if you want to write a song, you write about what happened.
In the late 1990s, right around 2000, right around the time that Ground Zero, the club, Clarksdale, was founded, Mississippi realized that there were tourists, music tourists, who were going to New Orleans and then driving through Mississippi to get to Memphis. You know, sort of the jazz and funk down in New Orleans and then up to Memphis for whatever you could get up in Memphis, including soul and some blues, Beale Street. And there was Mississippi, but they weren't getting tourist dollars. And there was Mississippi with a much more sort of free-form blues touristic culture. And Patty Johnson in Clarksdale and Jim O'Neill had a record store back then. Blues tourists began to kind of trickle down into the Delta from Memphis and end up at that store, especially after 1986. When Ralph Macchio and Joe Seneca were in Crossroads, people would show up and sort of say, like, can you tell me how to get to the Crossroads? And they would say, well, there is no the Crossroads, but there's one and there were several around the state that looked kind of cool. And I do think as people began to realize that there was this thing called a blues tourist, and that took, for that next 15 years, it sort of, bit by bit, it happened until in the late 1990s, Clarksdale decided they needed a monument, right? And so that's when Clarksdale made their big pitch for, like, we're the home of the Crossroads. And there's a very complicated story, but the short version is that there's absolutely no organic relationship between Robert Johnson and his song Crossroads Blues and Clarksdale's Crossroads. That's all invented, but it's a fascinating bit of kind of cultural history.
We were at bars, you know, when we were kids, waiting to play until like 1 a.m. just to be able to show our talents off and practice and put it to use what we've learned.
I started when I was 15. I wasn't old enough to get in the bars, so my mom would like buy me like clothing like with the big like Western like hats and a shirt to match it. And when we went on break, if we played those club gigs and being that the cops could come in and bust the club, when we went on break, I was always told to just stay in the back behind the curtains or in the green room. Like I couldn't come out into the, you know, the audience and meet and greet people because I wasn't of age.
My mom pulled me out of school at 4th grade to homeschool just so I could play in bars late at night and not have to wake up so early to go to school and, you know, kind of do that in the middle of the day. But, you know, it's just, I don't know, there's just something about Clarksdale. It's just a spirit of its own, I guess you could say. And it's just magical, and it's been amazing growing up here and learning from all these great bluesmen and blues artists and women.
Because growing up, my grandmother was really hip into blues. So at most of her birthday parties, most of the parties she thrown, whenever she's cooking, I hear blues, blues, and blues. I wake up to blues. So it's just a passive thing. I don't hate blues, and I'm not the biggest fan of blues. It's just a part of my roots, so I just really don't mind it.
Brush your teeth, come back in the evening, still in bed. You got a rag tied around your head, now baby. Well, honey, what you gonna do?
Yeah, I wasn't reared around blues per se, so that's not really something that I like. If I want to hear music, it's not my first go-to. But if I'm out at an event, or if I find myself at Ground Zero or a festival, I will listen to it and enjoy it, but it's not like a first preference or anything because I wasn't raised around it.
So we're from England, just outside London, near Windsor. We've been doing a road trip, kind of. We started off in Nashville, and then we've been working through to Memphis. We're on our way down to New Orleans, so we stopped here because of the festival and the music. So this music's fairly new to me, at least. Like, so we've been going through country, blues, and then down to jazz for New Orleans.
Listen what I say. My train's always running through the night, through the day. If your woman look mistreated, look left all alone, no need coming to the station. My train's already gone. You better love your woman. Keep her right there by your side.
There were about 3 or 4 little pubs like that up and down Sunflower in other parts of town, and we would just go from one to another.
Black curtain, it's a long black curtain. It's drawn tighter, it's drawn tighter across this
Clarksdale just, I don't know, man. It's the Delta, you know, and it's a beautiful place. It's just where everybody comes to Clarksdale.
Well, you got me knowing what you want, baby, what you want. You got me knowing what you want, baby, what you want. You got me doing what you want, baby, what you want me to do. Oh, yeah.
Some of my earliest memories are from when this was a really bustling town. I mean, it was on Saturday, you couldn't hardly walk down the street, you know. Everybody came to town from the country to shop. There'd be horses and pickup trucks and wagons and all up and down the street. It's just a magical place to me. I mean, you know, I tell people, you don't need a plan. Just go outside and it just happens to you. You just meet one character after another all day. Just like me trying to get here. I got stopped like 3 times. And you have these conversations and big laughs, and at the end of the day, you had a great day. No plan, just go outside. I tell people you can feel the blues. Like sometimes at a festival or something, I'll tell people you ought to make a journey to make the pilgrimage to Clarksdale, because the blues is so thick you can grab a handful out of the air, put it in your pocket, and take it home with you.
Well, back in those days, they used to do bad things to poor people, to set an example, or to scare you or warn you. You don't do this and you don't do that, because they'll do this and the other. It worked on some, but some it made them angry. You know, like when I was a kid, we'd be walking the road late evenings or something, and we'd hear a car, a truck or something coming. We'd run out in the field somewhere and hide until it went past, and then we'd come out and continue our walk. But people had a knack of either try to run over you or shoot at you, or just plain holler out there at you and call your names or try to say something to make you mad, start a fight, you know. One guy once was out at the Elks Club playing one night. They wanted a black band, blues band playing in there, but they won't have nothing to do with us. So I'm kind of puzzled. Well, just pay me. Yeah, we'll play. So there's a back room back there with a stage, and there's a bar like way hell up yonder. Will y'all go back here and play? You know, you want something, just hold your hand up. They say, no, I'll come and get it for you. We don't want you up at the bar. And we're like, we get it already, so we already know. We don't have to ask no question why. So it's okay, we'll fix him. So he come back there to get one person to drink, and we let him get back halfway back to the bar. Hey! The guy, he said, all you gotta do is hold your hand up. He said, I'll get you one. And every time he turned around, we had our hands up. We had our hands up. He got pissed off. God damn it, go up there and get your own damn drink. And he was the only one, but he was a clan leader, you know, like he was like on the start at all, you know, make everybody else think the way he was thinking, act the way he was thinking, when other people standing there looking like, what the hell is he doing? Why don't he let them come get their own drink, you know? He go up there and can't remember what they said they wanted and stuff and this and that. And they were just working the shit out of him and going around and around and around. So finally he said, go get your own damn drink, you know?
How long ago was that?
Huh?
Was that quite a while ago? Or?
Yeah, I'd say it was at least 15 years ago.
Okay.
This is my second mural. Clarksdale's Paint the Town 2022. We did one in 2019. Due to COVID, we had to take a break, but we're now back at it. This piece is based off of a Catholic image, Rosa Mystica, which is Mystic of Roses. So it's the Virgin Mary. Traditionally, it's a white, a red, and a yellow rose, but just decided to kind of do all the colors in each rose to kind of keep it uniform. So slowly but surely, we're coming along.
There's a lot of people that actually want to make a change with Clarksdale, but a lot of people don't have that power. They don't have what's necessary to actually make that change. But the idea is still there, and that's what matters.
But there are people who are like getting their entrepreneurial things and starting their own business from the minority standpoint because the population here has really shifted. It's more black now than, white, but it's just getting access to funds or grants and things like that, knowing what's out there so they can put their best foot forward and try to create lasting change and do things that we weren't given the opportunity to do years and generations.
We Southerners are very artistic people. We're very expressive people. We're storytellers. My form of storytelling is visual storytelling, although I do also write a bit, but visual storytelling is my jam. And, songwriting is storytelling. Tennessee Williams plays, that's storytelling. We live in a place, the South is a place of identity, right? It's a place of, that has survived great violence, tremendous ugliness. And if you look up, what is like Southern Gothic, right? It's a literature genre. If you look up what are the key tenets of Southern Gothic literature, right? It's the idea of something that appears beautiful on the surface. It's Gothic literature was British, but Southern Gothic was the idea that there's a veneer of gentility, a veneer of everything's okay, everything's beautiful, we're all happy here, but underneath it is rot and decay and violence and sadness and dysfunction. And so there's something about that just keeps pulling us all back, because even though we're past slavery, we're past Reconstruction and so on, we are not past the trauma, we're not past the systemic problems that came from all that. And so we still grapple with, is this place beautiful or is it ugly? Is it beautiful or is it ugly? All the time. And you see that in the art. You see that struggle in the art. You see it in the stories, the music, the people. It's a really profound place. So the Delta Center.
Shake it to my mama, shake it all day long. Shake it to my mama, shake it till the cows come home.
When I started at the Delta Blues Museum here in Clarksdale, no girls were playing drums. They were playing keyboard or the lead guitar, or they wanted to sing, but no one picked drums. And so I picked drums because I go, hey, I like to be different. I like to stand out, like dare to be different. So I picked them, and oh my God, I got so much backlash. The guys would tease me. They would make faces. They would do little things with their hands, like telling me I should be rolling at this point or hitting a cymbal. And it would hurt. And a million times I went home and I told my mom, I'm never going back. And she goes, yes, you are.
There was a theater professor who gave me a record featuring actually Paul Osher, the first white player to play with the Muddy Waters Band in 67, 68. I was learning harmonic and guitar at the same time, and they're complementary if you're learning how to play blues. And so I would, get up in the morning and try to copy licks. I very much had a transracial ethos of blues. I didn't think, well, that's black guy playing blues and white guy playing blues. These days, I know we have kind of categories that people like to throw people in. Back then, it was just all one big mix of the most powerful music I knew, and that's really what it comes down to. And if you're a certain kind of kid who gets a broken heart from losing a first girlfriend, as I was, the music's right there, and it speaks to you. It certainly spoke to me in a very powerful, very direct way.
You can run, tell my friend Sterling
they had the Masonic Hall straight behind the house on the next street. And I had Bell Grove Church right next door. So Fridays and Saturdays, I went to sleep listening to blues, rock and roll. And Sunday morning, I wake up to gospel music. So I said, I got to play some music on something. So I stopped. I was going to my neighbor's house practicing on their piano until I decided I needed my own. But I couldn't afford a piano, so I went to what I can afford, a guitar.
Before all the fancy shredding and chording, and, you know, the guys just blah, blah, blah. Before all of that, we're talking about the front porch boogie woogie parties where you had a guy beating on a bucket for drums and maybe a guitar that was missing 2 or 3 strings, and they made beautiful music on their front porch and they actually enjoyed it. And now we're just having the luxury of playing with fully equipped instruments and making the best of it.
I started piddling around on the guitar around 2002, 2003, you know, somewhere around up in there. And I just kind of wanted to, you know, do something a little bit different. And I always wanted to learn guitar, you know, to play the guitar. So I thought, why not start there, you know, to learn a new instrument, started guitar. And so that's what I did. Believe it or not, Luther Dickinson from the North Mississippi All-Stars gave me my first guitar. It was an old acoustic Harmony. And I got that guitar to this day. It's old as hell and need a bunch of work, but I still got it. But yeah, and I started then and, you know, kind of evolved and played more and more and started to write more songs on the guitar. And it definitely became my newfound love. And here I am today, you know, still making music with it.
I feel like a bird with broken wing. I can't fly back up in a tree.
I've been playing this music for a long time, and you know, it's been accepted well, you know, in several countries. Another thing that I'm grateful for, you know, and when I started doing it as a, you know, little kid, I did my first tour with my Big Daddy at age 13. Well, I got the chance to see at an early age, you know, how people receive this music, you know, how much they been listening to it and how much they love it. And so I am glad of that. I definitely think that I have evolved, you know, with this music, you know, just putting my own little twist to it. You know, I got it from my Big Daddy, R.L. Burnside, you know, but, you know, I'm sure he wanted me to, you know, make it mine, you know, and so that's what I try to do when I write this music, you know, when I play this music, I try to just make it my own, you know, what's in me, I want that to come out and not just, you know, R.L. Burnside's grandson, you know, I want Cedric Burnside to come out, you know, me. But I am grateful and happy to be a part of the Burnside family, you know, and thankful that my Big Daddy opened the door, you know, for the whole Burnside family, as well as other great musicians who love this style of music, you know.
People have been worried about, will the blues survive? This is actually one of the oldest questions. It's a 100-year-old question. So one of the most fascinating things is that people were worried. I mean, Langston Hughes was talking in the 1930s, you've taken my blues and gone. There were people in the late 1920s who felt that when you had Irving Berlin and every other, you know, white songwriter, sort of from the vaudeville, Broadway, schmaltzy kind of thing, when they're all coming in and writing songs called blues, like Whither the Real Blues. And I remember seeing stories as early as, certainly in the 1990s, so certainly 30 years ago, I was seeing stories about the last of the real Delta bluesmen. Well, there seem to be more.
my breakfast. No butter on my road. I ain't got a drop of milk from the cornflakes in my bowl. But I'm all fresh out.
So it seems like there's something about the blues that there's several interesting things about it. One is that it's clear that although it began as a pop music explosion, which is to say the first music that Americans thought about and called blues was the classic blues women. It was Mamie Smith in 1920. It was, it was the other blues women who came along, Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith. They were what people thought of as the blues. That was what was called the blues. It was theatrical. It was entertainment. It was women more than men. And it was recorded at that point, but it was also sort of a theatrical thing. And it was pop music. It was an explosive pop music sensation early on.
I looked up to my surprise, the gal
The idea that the real blues is an older black Mississippi player, maybe drunk, maybe beats his woman. B.B. King resisted this. B.B. King in his autobiography says, I wish people would stop thinking that that's a real blues man. He goes, you don't have to beat your woman to, that's sort of a sort of image of sort of down and out country and sometimes associated with Mississippi, but impoverished and hurting. And that's one kind of image that's held a fascination for people. Certainly, but the fascination doesn't begin with white folks. W.C. Handy, in Father of the Blues, published in 1941, he's writing about that threadbare Negro, his term, that he encounters at Tutwiler, who had on his face some of the sadness of the ages, he says. But he played the weirdest music I'd ever heard. So, at the dawn of, this is 1903, he's writing in 41, at the dawn of the blues is a kind of mythification of the blues. And I think that's a really important thing to think about.
It's so many of our younger generations, into the music. My girls, they love music. I have 4 daughters now. Just had a new baby, brand new baby. She's not even a month old. She was born the 20th of this month. So anyway, I think that, with that generation loving the music and, generations in their 20s, you have them doing this music now and have them getting more into the blues and wondering, what is this? What is this? So they want to explore more. So I think the blues is pretty prominent, man. I think it'll be here for a while.
You got your greens and peas. Y'all been out there playing. You got all your greens and peas over here.
Derek, what you cook?
Y'all like to eat too?
Oh, I'd love to. Yeah, I shot put them up so I'm
Now you going to
on the leg.
You messing with beer. Quit.
He gonna get with beer, man. I didn't even do it. He got big.
You now. You got to watch her because she will live.
She never looked at me before.
This
change. Hell yeah, and maybe you need some money. In the front yard. Yeah. Just wash up in the front yard in the tub. Man, Daddy might have to tell me shit out.
Hey, let go. No more of this.
Yeah, ain't no more of this.
No, man. Look at Clams on the heat gun.
Hey, you knew it was so crazy. I'm gonna tell you though. Daddy was buried in a cemetery beside a gravel road. Right off the gravel road.
We came by today. I told him I thought he was buried out on the Bobo Road.
Yeah, right. Out there.
Sure was.
Take it through the house, through the bushes there. Right here, place I used to live when I was like 3 and 4 years old, back in 1955. This is Renalaura, Mississippi, on Gordon Keith Plantation. And it's where I got my first ass whooping from my grandpa, who was Ellis Johnson, who was the first cousin to Robert Johnson. I was sitting in the house on the sofa, and he came out of the house. And I used to follow him everywhere he goes. So I came out the house behind him. He said, "Don't come with me this time." He said, "Stay in the house." He said, "I'll be right back." So he went around behind the house, and I came out of the house, and I got down on my knees, and I peeked under the house. And he was on the other side of the house, and he was reaching under the house to get his whiskey bottle. And by the time I bent down and looked under there, I looked right in his eyes. And that made him mad because he had told me to stay in the house. And I peeked under there to see where he was going, and he reached under and he pulled out a whiskey bottle, and he looked and he saw me. I don't know what he did with the whiskey bottle, but he politely come in the house. I ran back in the house and jumped on the sofa, sit down right beside my grandmother. He came in the house, and he had what you call a razor strap hanging upside the wall that he sharpened his razor on. He reached up there and got that razor strap and reached over on the couch and got me, and he gave me the old what for. He tore my ass up. He said, "When I said sit down and don't follow me, I mean that."
Well, that's the old-fashioned way of doing it, and I'm trying to keep it alive. I'm like the root of the old tree, that old tree with all them leaves on it, got to have some roots, so I'm one of the roots of the blues. I was chosen to help keep the blues alive, and then with the blues ain't about to kill me. Somebody shoot that thing. I don't want to use up too much of my time because we got other people wants to come up and play, so we'll do one more right quick, and then we'll get down and get somebody else up here. Sitting on the front porch drinking that homemade whiskey. Sitting on the front porch drinking that homemade whiskey. The mama's in the kitchen cooking some good old chicken. Your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll. Your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll. Your uncle doing the slop cause he way too old to stroll.
We lived in this old house, and my grandpa would go out and get drunk and shoot people, kill people, what have you. So he come home drunk one day, and he was gonna kill my grandma. And she said it was not gonna happen. And I guess the Lord was on her side that day or something. But they had this chair, this a straight chair, what they call it, a straight chair, with 4 legs and a back. And she put that chair in front of her to keep him away from her. And he had hold of this chair with both hands, and he couldn't. She was holding it with one hand. She had extra strength from somewhere. Adrenaline was flowing or something, but he could not do nothing with her. And she pushed him out the back door. And everybody running around the house screaming and hollering, their daddy trying to kill mama, daddy gonna kill mama. And he was. That mean he had a Dutch, and he said he was gonna cut her up. And when she pushed him off the porch, he lost that knife. It fell, went somewhere. And he told all of us, "Y'all go find my knife." One time was all out in the wood pile looking for his knife and what have you. And during that time, a couple of my aunts grabbed my grandma by the arms and took her across the field to my other auntie's house, my older aunt's house. Just about a block away. While we was looking for his knife, that gave her time to get over there. And she said, "Your daddy gonna kill me. Your daddy gonna." She said, "No, he ain't. So we gonna stop him." She said, "You can't stop him. So you got the devil in him." She said, "I done seen it before." And so she got her a chair, and she sat on the screen door. Mom gave her a 12-gauge shotgun. She sat there at the door and she waited for him. He came up there and she said, he said, I come to kill you. She said, not today, Ella. She said, you need to go on back on by your bench because if you take one more step toward me, she said, I'm going to blow your head off. He said, I'm going to kill you. He said, I'm going to kill you today. He said, what reason? I don't know. The devil was in him. And he launched at him, boom. First dead man I ever saw was my granddaddy. It was a long, long time ago. I used to run up and down this road. Back during the time, everything was low. I was just a boy running down the dusty road. Was a long, long time ago, living on an old dusty road. Down through that field, that's where I would go. An old tin-top shack sitting on a dusty road. Well, I came back home. Home ain't here no more. It's where I used to live, on that old dusty road. Well, the more memories just won't let me go.
Thank you for tuning in to Morning Edition. I'm Desmond Matthews. You're listening from NPR on WJSU. Today I'm joined by Mr. James Super Chikan Johnson. Mr. Johnson, how you doing?
I'm fine. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. I know that you are here on Jackson State's campus. Can you just tell us, what are you initially here for today?
Man, I'll tell you what, I don't really know what I'm doing today, but I'm having a good time at it. Well, tell us what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. We're here, doing a symposium on James's life and career. Lisa and I kind of put this together a couple of months ago with the idea to bring James here and talk all about what a great career he's had and what a fantastic musician he is.
As I was saying, the blues is something that is kind of trickling downward, but you want to keep it alive. How do you try and get that message to the younger people try to help them kind of pick up on this?
In order to get to the top of a ladder, you got to climb it step by step.
Right.
But if you get to the top without climbing, you're going to fall.
Right about that.
So I think it's a good thing to keep the blues alive, and it's to be recognized. I mean, just like you go back through your family history, all the way back to your parents, you want to find out what's happening, what's going on. So we got all this big money up at the top up here, and not looking down at the roots, see where it came from. Your old granddad down there still alive, man. Come on down here and check me out,
Yes, sir. And
it's not trickling down. It's been disrespected. It's a foundation for the big tree.
So good morning and welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm excited to see so many students. I am very excited to welcome to the hollow halls of FD Hall Music Center, Mr. James Super Chikan Johnson. Give him a round of applause. He is here to talk with us about nostalgia in Mississippi, politics and music, and how we oftentimes use music, how he uses music to navigate all of that.
Hi, my name is Julia Johnson. I'm a sophomore music education major. I wanted to ask, did you ever see your music career taking off as much as it did?
No. No, I just played because I liked it. I didn't get it for the fame of it or for the dignity part of it. It was just something in my blood that made me want to do it. And first thing I did, it was happening. No, I didn't ever expect it to get famous or anything like that.
What I want to ask you is, how do you tell your story through your playing? Like, how do you evoke everything that you feel through your fingertips when you play that guitar?
from things I've experienced, things I know, and I try not to, make up stuff. That's I try to sing about what I know about, and through life, turn life into poetry the best I can. So I'm not a scholar. I haven't studied music or anything like that. It's just in my blood. I like it, and I put it together the way it sounds good to me. I said, if it sounds good to me, somebody else got to have a left ear like I got. I build my own guitars out of found objects. But the old saying is, another man's junk will be one man's treasure. I go out and jump by and I'll find an interesting piece of lumber or wood or something, and I look at that thing, and right away I'll picture me an instrument out of it. I take it home, and here it comes. So then the story goes on. So I'm busy making guitars. When I'm not doing that, I'm driving a truck. I love driving a truck. That's one of my. When I started writing my first song, I was driving a truck. I already feel driving a tractor, and I'm driving a truck. But the truck life got pretty lonesome, It was always taking me away from home when I wanted to come home.
We were able to bring Super Chikan to Jackson State University with the main goal of really exposing our students to a real blues legend, as well as having an opportunity to look at and think about the ways that people are navigating the world that they live in through their music. And so I think that Mr. Johnson is a perfect example of a person who really explores these ideas of memory and nostalgia, navigating social, political, justice and injustice through their music, and helping the community to navigate all of those issues in a way that brings them relief, stress relief, joy.
I ain't studying.
I want to pass this down. There's a few people in this world that I want to pass it to and accept it. You one of the people who would accept what I passed down. That don't mean I got it together. The Super Chikan, I have did a lot of things in this life that wasn't right. Made some bad moves and mistakes.
That's life.
But I found out if you make a mistake and you learn from it, it's really not a mistake.
That's education.
It's a stepping stone to what you should or should not do.
That's right. That's right.
You know. So man, this is your night. This is your documentary on yourself.
Yeah.
And about what you have done, what you're doing, and what you plan to do.
Yep. The last time you and I was here together, was on that big stage, and you had just done your show, and I got up there, and the question mentor came up. Oh man, it's the right place at the right time. I said, because the right man is right here. I said, hey, my #1 mentor is Mr. Bobby Rush. Because back in the day, he told me to do what I'm doing. And he came out back at the stage, and he said, yeah.
But you're good at what you do.
Yeah. He said, I told him to do it, and he's doing what he did. Yeah.
We'll see how good the stabilizer is in the camera.
I have a lot of people say we got a truck driving blues man. I said, well, I was driving a truck before and while I was becoming a blues man. I said, you got to have more than one trade these days because you never know what's going to happen. And sure enough, COVID came along and messed the music business up, and I had to go back to what I know best. I mean, I do heavy equipment, you know, construction work, truck driving, and that's pretty much what I'm doing now. So, but it keeps the groceries on the table.
A lot of people think a well-known blues man, the other half of his life should all be luxury and fine living and stuff like that. But that's a different kind of musician. But if you're a blues man, that means you're a blues man. You got blues problems. The other half of your life is not all luxury because you're a blues man. You got to work for it. Blues don't sell like everything else. But everybody listens to your story. Plantation was plantation as a kid. Because my grandpa moved all the time. He would stay in one place about 2 years and he'd move again. Said it wasn't good to stay in one place too long. So I guess that's what made me a Rolling Stone. I like to be always doing something. If I'm not playing music, I'd rather be driving a truck.
It is harder now for a musician because you have so many people who are out there. There are so many musicians, and they're really great musicians. And then it also depends on the area. We're in the Mississippi Delta, which is the South. We're mostly known for being the last to get everything, you know, which is also the last to be recognized. And so I think that is a lot of the problem with the blues, the reason it does not get the recognition that it should, or the artists that are really great musicians. I mean, they may not have the big name because they haven't had the ability to travel around and spread their good music, you know.
He's being a responsible adult. He has a wife and a house, and I think he's just being responsible. And I love that about him, because a lot of musicians would not get a regular job, especially someone that's you know, famous or whatever. But I really admire him that he does that.
Well, it's lonesome in the country, but sometimes I like to go back and listen to the raindrops falling on my tin-top shack.
The cotton trailer to the cotton house, then the big cotton trailer, and then the bale, and now we got roads. And it still fascinates me, and I've been here all my life. The fascinating part is that I done got old and I'm still here seeing this. I'm seeing the future. But a lot of men my age didn't get a chance to see this. Sorry about the noise.
He driving truck cause that's what he choose to do. James is a man of many skills, man. Many skills. I thought I was the only one, but we both is Aquarian. And that's why we got along so well. The people call it scatterbrain. But it ain't no limit to what he can do. Now, you might bring something in he's not familiar with that he can't do, but I wouldn't be surprised if he can't do some of that too if you bring it.
Listen to the whippoorwill singing by my tip-top shack. When I hear the rooster crow, it brings my memory back.
Growing up with the Mennonites, it was taught me to be honest. And the people find out that you're honest and you believe what they say, then they take advantage of you. So, you know, they taught me to be honest, but they didn't warn me about the devils out there until later on in life. They said, oh yeah, there's crooks out there that'll take advantage of you if you don't know what you're doing. So I didn't know. All I wanted to do was play music and travel. And that's what I did. And fun to find out that I never did make any money because they took it all.
Having had to take day jobs after COVID has been a little bit of a deterrent to moving forward in the last couple of years, but that's temporary. I mean, we'll get past that.
I'd love to know what you think in terms of like you or Super Chikan, what you would like to tell the younger musicians coming up. Like what would you like to make sure they kind of understand?
Well, I think they should search out the people that they're learning from more than just trying to learn it off the internet. Because there's something that you lose, you know, from not being you don't respect the people, you know. I mean, they think, you know, they can get it on their phone, how to play every song that you can think of and the words to them and all. But like when I was coming up, you know, I had to go and sit with the people and get, you know, you had to communicate with people, you know, and you learn to respect them, and otherwise they're not going to mess with you, you know. But I think they need to, you know, like really try to meet the people and talk to them, communicate with them. Sometimes it's a big letdown when you meet your heroes. But a lot of times you learn, you get something. Like I got a lot from hanging out with Joe Calicut and Johnny Woods, and, you know, like Joe, especially when I was really young, we weren't always playing music. We were sitting and talking, you know, and, you know, he was telling me a lot about a lot of things, you know. So.
30 years ago, he was doing a show at the Civic Auditorium in Clarksdale.
Yeah.
And I had been writing songs, and I said, I know what I can do. So I when my boy and I, so I was talking about the best minute to try to fly the airplane before we get off the ground.
Yeah.
That's what I thought I was gonna do. I said, I'm gonna write these songs, give them to Bobby Rush. He sang, I said, I'll already be up there. Bobby Rush brought that airplane down. He said, no. He said, sing them yourself.
Well, I can tell you now, I said that because I can still remember when you come to me. You were so humble about what you were saying to me and honest about it. You were looking for some song. I wasn't really looking for the song, although I may always need songs.
Right.
But the way you were singing the song, the little gimmick things you had in them,
yeah,
the song was designed for you.
Yeah.
And you the only man can pull this off.
That's
and I knew that. And I didn't try to shuffle you with what you were doing and where you was coming from. But I saw quickly that the sick need your help, not the well. That didn't mean you were less than me. That means you needed to song for yourself.
Right.
And since that time, it's been proven through your movement that the song was good for you and you only.
Yeah. And what I like about it, you took the time out to sit there and actually read the damn thing. He read it. He went there, he told me, he said, I'm a music critic. He said, this song was wrote for you.
Yeah.
He said, it ain't for me. You sing them yourself. I said, well, I can't sing. Well, learn how.
Super Chikan should have everything in the world. He's totally unique. He's an amazing artist. There's a lot of people that you can forget about.
No one's
And
like
he's not
him.
one of them.
No one's like
he's
him.
unforgettable. And
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mr. Super Chikan, I put him, you know, I met him through my granddad, and along with you know, Mr. Jack Johnson, and Mr. Frank Frost and Sam Carr. I met all those cats through my big daddy. But Mr. Super Chikan, I met Mr. Super Chikan, I think I was about 12 years old, you know, and so I've been knowing him a long time. And the first thing I did was shook his hand. My big daddy said, Cedric, I want you to meet Mr. Super Chikan. And he was like, well, what's up, young man? He said, don't shoot my rooster because it don't crow as loud as it used to. Man, that phrase stuck in my head for so long, man. But yeah, Mr. Super Chikan became to be like an uncle to me, man.
Playing music is what I like to do, you know, what I'm good at. So he needs to keep playing so I can keep doing what I want to do, you know, what I'm good at.
My dad's the front man, that's enough for me, because this is my dad, you know, so that's the best of all the worlds to me, you know. It's my dad, my pops, my best friend, like, yeah. And I count on him for everything. And I know I may get on his nerves, but he's still my dad, you know.
The blues is the mother of all of this music.
Yep.
Whether you're in gospel, whether you're in rock and roll, whether you're in Spain, China, Maine, or Mexico. The blues is the mother of all the music. And if you don't like your blues,
you don't like your mother.
You don't like your mama.
This funky stuff. That horn gonna get mad at you.